What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about Lucid. I want to go over some expectations for this upcoming week, what might cause some volatility in the stock price, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So starting off with data, we have a lot of big things coming out. Not so much on Monday, but on Tuesday, we have JOLT numbers. And this is something I've mentioned in the past that Powell is really looking at as a driving factor for rate cuts. And that clearly is what the market wants right now. So that's going to be coming out on Tuesday. Aside from that, Wednesday, we do have ADP employment, so another labor-linked data, as well as GDP, and then we have the interest rate decision. So it is fair to assume that there won't be any cut for the July meeting, because right now there's a 95.9% likelihood of nothing happening. But what is potentially going to be said afterwards, that is going to be a big deal, because Trump kind of alluded to with his back and forth with Powell that he's open to a cut, meaning for the September 17th. So again, that is going to be a very big deal for the broader market if Powell does hint at a September potential cut. So that's going to be coming out on Wednesday. Thursday, we do have PCE, so that's a very big one as well. Friday, non-farm payroll, unemployment, and ISM manufacturing. So all big data points. So this is essentially kind of like the Super Bowl of the market for this week, because not only do we have a lot of big data, but we also have a lot of big companies unveiling the earnings that all have shown that they can move the market. So this week, Wednesday after hours, we have Meta, Microsoft, Robinhood. Thursday after hours, Apple, Amazon. So a lot of big names throughout the week that could really move the market. So make for a very interesting and volatile time. So let me know your general thoughts on that in the comments below. As far as going into this week as well, with the S&P currently at 63.88, it did successfully get above that key resistance level of 63.50, as what I previously mentioned. So essentially this week, if we are able to stay above those levels, you will essentially be seeing a very nice breakout, more than what's already happened. So that's something just to kind of keep in mind on a macro standpoint. This upcoming week, there isn't anything planned specific to Lucid, so it looks like they aren't doing any kind of pop-ups this week. They're doing this one, but that concludes on the 26th. And then aside from that, this one concludes in North Carolina on the 27th. So it looks like they're not really doing anything this week. So maybe that's a good thing. Maybe they're taking a break, I'm not sure, or just a little bit of a hiatus before their upcoming earnings. But over and above this though, there actually is one data point coming out that could really help Lucid, and that is this. So the estimated sales in the States for July. So this is going to be released August the 1st, so on Friday. Essentially, the market looks at this as a good indication of demand. So, for instance, when this was released for June's data and it showed 0 sales of the Gravity, that was definitely a little bit more of a cause for concern. So, with them submitting July's numbers, that could be a potential catalyst if we do see a lot of Gravity sales, or if we don't see any again, then clearly that is a massive red flag and a sign that potentially that there's a supply chain issue. Side note, I actually do have a video coming out tomorrow, all the upcoming catalysts that investors need to be aware of, so definitely tune in for that one. Aside from all of that fun stuff, as far as shorts going into this upcoming week, 30.01% of the free floats being shorted, works out to be 369.99 million shares overall are being shorted. Generally speaking, shorts have actually been returning leading up to this week. So pretty much it peaked at about 33.5% short interest, so the all-time high. So that's kind of a good thing, but at the end of the day, this week with all the linked labor data and all the companies unveiling the earnings, anticipate shorts to be very active. And as I've shown in the past, almost about like at least bare minimum 40% of Lucid's daily volume is attributed to shorts. So again, could just anticipate a lot of volatility as far as them potentially doubling down if things go sour based on data points. So moral of the story, anticipate a lot of volatility. But looking at the options from a bull's standpoint, there's a consensus for it to be roughly around that 3 to 350 for this upcoming week. Bears are anticipating for it to be pretty much sub 250. So where we're at 294 after hours on Friday, then we're kind of at a key pivot. So I'm going to go over more of the technicals in a second, but with it closing around that range, that does mean that the $3 and above strike prices all expire worthless. So the only thing that's in the money is 4,000 at $2.50. So that 250 strike price. So that's not going to cause any bump up in the stock price, so no gamma squeeze or anything. Looking forward into this upcoming week, there is 5,000 at the 250, 16,000 at that 3, 23,000 at that 350, and then 8,000 at that 4. So when it comes down to it, if Lucid does get close to, let's say, that 3 or 350 by the end of next week, you could see shorts kind of be a little bit more active just to try to suppress Lucid. That way market makers won't have to cover a lot of these options. So again, something to just generally keep in mind. With it though, on at 292, closing at 292 on Friday, it is trading right now between these 2 points, so this R1 and the pivot. So 288 is going to be a strong support. Generally, that's been the line in the sand ever since the whole Uber deal. So 288's been really strong, so just continue to watch for that. If that 288 does fail to hold, then you have 244 as the following support level. So again, shorts might see that as a target just to really hit hard and then break Lucid on a technical standpoint. But flip side, 331 and then 358 is going to be the next strong kind of resistance slash target points, which based on a lot of the data and companies unveiling their earnings, there's a lot of opportunity for the market to really move to the next leg up. As of right now, there hasn't been all that much in new analyst ratings. Last one was on, I believe it was Thursday after hours. That was Bank of America's new analyst, kind of copying John Murphy, giving a negative rating. But going into this upcoming week though, it is below the ALMA, still above all of the key pivotal moving averages that I generally like to look at. So the 200, 100, and 50, and because of the recent volatility, you have stochastic RSI breaking off the overbought, somewhat in neutral nature now. So that could really stand to benefit it going into this upcoming week, but again, moral of the story is you really need that 288 to hold. If not, then you could be seeing a little bit of a further pull to possibly even that 200-day moving average, which is sitting at 253. So Lucid's holding on for dear life as what it's done in the past, but it really needs to either put out some catalysts to really push it higher, or even potentially on a macro standpoint. So let me know your thoughts on Lucid in the comments below. In my opinion, given everything that is coming out, I do feel that we will still stay within this range R1 to the pivot. Briefly, we will break below this pivot point, but I think it will, by the end of the week, get pushed back into this kind of R1 to the pivot range. So let me know your general thoughts on that. Do you think that we're going to be breaking out to $5 this week, or are we going to be breaking down? One additional thing that I wanted to kind of also bring up is one thing that could help the market is a Europe deal. I know Trump was supposed to announce it either late last week or early this upcoming week, so that could be also another good potential catalyst for the broader market. Forgot to bring that up at the beginning, but nonetheless, let me know your thoughts. Throw your price predictions for Lucid in the comments below. One final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto, many of which have been absolutely on point and bangers. Definitely worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.